Hello everyone, and welcome to my General Hospital official channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. According to General Hospital teasers for the week of June 16th to 20th, Jocelyn Jax is faced with an urgent situation, Jason Morgan Snoops, and Willow Corinthos and Drew Kane will struggle following a terrible blow. Fans of GH will first witness the fallout from the custody dispute between Willow and Michael Corinthos. You can bet that the losing side will have some significant emotions and protests after Judge Eva Heron's decision. We know that someone will use extortion to force Judge Heron to award Michael the victory, because of Cameron Matheson's Instagram disclosure. Regardless matter whether Tracy Quartermaine is at fault or someone else who is interested in the court's decision, Michael is expected to be granted custody of the children. Willow will be devastated by that, and a furious Drew will be prepared to lose his mind in the upcoming episodes. There will be a lot of ruckus beyond the courtroom since Nina Reeves will also be involved in this. In the meantime, Marco Rios will rely on Lucas Jones throughout his family crisis and deal with the news of Natalia Ramirez's legal troubles. Now that ADA Justine Turner is so intent on pursuing him, Sonny Corinthos will face more challenges. This might put Sonny and Jason in a lot of trouble. Speaking of Jason, since he pledged to look into Professor Henry Hank Dalton, he will spy on Anna Devane. That will undoubtedly place Jocelyn in a difficult situation that raises red flags and may yield some unexpected hints. Jocelyn will have to worry about Jason ruining her WSB mission or revealing too much about her if he discovers that he is gathering information. Carly Spencer will give Jack Brennan some attention after everything is over, but she has been concentrating a lot lately on Michael's custody hearing. Carly will give Brennan an unexpected present that demonstrates her love and deepens their bond. Because they will eventually find themselves in a circumstance that draws them closer together, Jocelyn will also strengthen her relationship with Vaughn. Might a lip lock be on the verge of happening? With her seduction scheme, Emma Scorpio Drake will endanger herself. Leading Professor Dalton on is not a good idea, but Emma is doing just that. And if she is not careful, it could have fatal consequences. Nevertheless, Emma will be desperate to worm her way inside the lab and discover out all Professor Dalton's secrets. It will be interesting to observe whether Emma's efforts are thwarted by Jocelyn or vice versa. According to General Hospital spoilers, the week of June 16th to 20th will be filled with surprises and upheavals. Stay tuned for updates on all the chaos. The most recent General Hospital spoilers for Monday, June 9th to Friday, June 13th are available on soaps.com. As shockwaves roll through the courtroom during the custody hearing, Lucky bids farewell before departing Port Charles once more. Carly, Sonny, and Jason are taken aback by Michael's announcement. Tracy challenges Alexis, and Nina is out for blood. Continue reading for that and more drama. Week of June 9th spoilers for General Hospital. Spoilers for Monday, June 9th's episode of General Hospital. In today's recap, Drew demonstrates his worst qualities as Lucky says goodbye to a number of loved ones. Lucky bids Lulu farewell. Drew sinks to an all-time low. Inspiration strikes Christina. Following last week's announcement of his leaving, Jonathan Jackson discloses the true cause of his abrupt departure. Carly receives a proposal from Cody. Elizabeth lets Lucas in. Discover who is seeing whom off-screen on all soap operas as real-life newlywed Steve Burton and his wife share moments from their magical honeymoon. Spoilers for Tuesday, June 10th on General Hospital. In today's review, Lucky bids Laura farewell, Martin makes a comeback, and Michael raises concerns about Willow's trip to Germany. Willow doesn't back down. Laura's reunion is joyful. A kind offer is made to Isaiah. Trina confides in Ava. Tracy issues a warning. Courtney and Nicholas together again, with another well-known soap opera face. Wednesday, June 11th spoilers for General Hospital. Jason, Sonny, and Carly are shocked by Michael's news. Kai and Trina join their heads. Isaiah senses Portia's anguish. We've all been waiting for the answer, and Roger Howarth might have it. Who killed Austin? The warpath is Nina. Felicia agrees to a new task. At this time, Willow can only be saved in one way. And this is how. The reason Daniel Goddard thought his tenure on Young and Restless amounted to nothing, and Dalton's future plans. Thursday, June 12th spoilers for General Hospital. At Michael and Willow's hearing, the courtroom is rocked. A patient is attended to by Elizabeth. Rick confesses. Today is a sad day as Chris Robinson, the popular General Hospital and bold and beautiful star, died at the age of 86. Ava extends an invitation. Alexis suppresses her fear. Eva LaRue talks candidly about the 12 years of terror she went through due to a stalker. Friday, June 13th. Spoilers for General Hospital. Alexis is challenged by Tracy. Maxie attempts to mediate the conflict. Chase and Dante's tension increases. Anna considers her history. Marco is surprised. Jason snoops crushing blow to Willow and Drew. Jocelyn's emergence. With relationships hanging by a thread and secrets simmering beneath the surface, tension in Port Charles had reached a fever pitch. Once putting up a united front, Willow and Drew were now at the center of a storm that threatened to split them apart. The love and trust they had previously shared were smothered by the weight of unsaid truths and covert goals. Willow's life had always been anchored by Drew, who provided her with stability when the outside world became too turbulent to handle. But now the basis of their relationship was crumbling beneath the weight of his own problems that were trying to claw their way to the surface. Willow had observed the growing gap between them, the way Drew would vanish for hours at a time without giving a reason, and the way his smiles no longer fully reached his eyes. In an attempt to convince herself that he would approach her when he was ready, she had tried to give him some space. However, patience had its limitations, and the persistent worry that something was seriously amiss would not go away. The reality hit her like a physical blow when she finally faced him. Whatever tenuous peace left between them was broken by the realization that Drew had been concealing secrets, dangerous ones. Willow was left reeling from the terrible wound of betrayal. How was it possible for the man she trusted with her heart, and who she loved, to keep something so important from her? In light of the harm done, his justifications, that he was attempting to protect her and that he hadn't wanted to burden her, felt insincere. Once unshakable, their confidence was now in ruins. Willow was unable to comprehend the extent of Drew's deceit, thus his cries for understanding were met with silence. Was there a way to recover from this? Or had their love been shattered forever? Jason Morgan, meanwhile, was trapped in the midst of another impending storm. Ever the watchful guardian, he had been closely monitoring the growing hostilities between Willow and Drew, feeling that something was about to break. However, his focus was suddenly shifted when he discovered a fact that caused his instincts to kick in. Jocelyn was being watched by someone who had bad intentions. Jason's instincts for protection went into overdrive. He would stop at nothing to ensure Jocelyn's safety because she was his family. Who and why was she being targeted, she wondered. Jason followed a convoluted trail of concealed agendas and repressed resentments as a result of his investigation. The puzzle grew more complex with each new clue he found, and time was running out. The idea of failing Jocelyn was intolerable, and he couldn't get rid of the notion that she was in immediate danger. The threat might be closer to home than anyone had thought, he concluded as he dug deeper. Something lethal was being concealed by someone in their close group. Then catastrophe hit. After a sudden and intense attack, Jocelyn was taken to the hospital in critical condition. Port Charles was rocked by the news, and her loved ones were left wondering what to do. As Carly hurried to the hospital, her mind racing with the worst-case scenarios, her heart thumping with fear. Carly felt completely helpless while her daughter, her passionate, bright Jocelyn, fought for her life. Sonny's typically composed manner by her side gave way to a boiling anger. He would see to it that whoever had harmed Jocelyn was held accountable. Fear, wrath, guilt and desperation swirled together in a suffocating mixture, turning the hospital waiting room into a battlefield of emotions. When Michael and Willow arrived, Jocelyn's situation temporarily overshadowed their own problems. Torn between the crushing weight of his own mistakes and his need to be there for Willow, Drew stayed on the periphery. Every whispered conversation was a potential flare in the already tense environment, which was heavy with anxiety. The questions grew as the medical staff desperately tried to stabilize Jocelyn. Who was responsible for this? Was Jocelyn specifically targeted, or was it an act of violence committed at random? What did that signify for the others, if at all? As Jason put the pieces of information he had collected together, his mind raced. Jocelyn's attack was a part of something larger, and much more terrible than a singular episode. Tracy was going through old files back at the Quartermain estate, her keen eye spotting a pattern that others had seen. The recent disturbances, Drew's secrets, Jocelyn's attack, and even rumors of a fresh danger hovering over Port Charles, were connected. However, an unforeseen guest arrived before she could present her results, causing mayhem once more. Never before had the stakes been so high. Loyalty was being tried, relationships were breaking down, and danger was present everywhere. Jocelyn's life was hanging by a thread, Jason was rushing to find the truth, and Willow and Drew's love story was in jeopardy. One mistake might have disastrous consequences in a town where trust was a luxury and secrets were money. The residents of Port Charles had to face their darkest secrets and worst fears as the clock ran out. The love between Willow and Drew was dealt a devastating blow. But it was just the beginning. Horrors that some had attempted to bury forever would be uncovered by Jason's unrelenting search for the truth. Furthermore, Jocelyn's situation served as a sobering reminder that nobody was ever really protected in Port Charles. General Hospital teasers predict that Lucky Spencer may tell Elizabeth Baldwin the truth about the automobile accident that she had with Rick Lansing. Lucky might tell Liz that he is aware that Christina Corinthos Davis cut the brakes on Rick's automobile because he thought it belonged to Ava Jerome. Elizabeth would obviously be incensed if he did that, but since Lucky told her the truth, she might be willing to forgive him. Elizabeth Baldwin is informed by Lucky Spencer of the blackmail scheme involving Rick Lansing and Ava Jerome. Lucky would then convince Liz that Alexis Davis is paying Rick and Ava to be silent in order to blackmail her with this knowledge. Liz would be incredulous and furious. She would not be pleased to learn that Rick is using his old tricks once more, and she would be even more upset with him than Lucky for lying to her about the accident. Then Liz would suggest to Lucky that she might know how to stop Ava and Rick. Elizabeth Baldwin and Lucky Spencer stage a breakup. Liz would advise Lucky that she would be the most effective mediator between Rick and Ava. She proposes that they act as though they are splitting up in order to stoke animosity between Ava and Rick. In this manner, Alexis will be free and the blackmail will cease. This is hazardous, as Lucky would say, but it might just work. He is aware that this could be the only way to help Alexis. Alexis would agree to assist in any way she could when Lucky and Elizabeth told her about their plan. She will do everything it takes to get rid of Ava and Rick. Rick Lansing is pursued by Elizabeth Baldwin. Elizabeth would get close to Rick now that she and Lucky have staged a phony breakup, which would make Ava extremely envious. When Rick claimed to have been in Beecher's Corners, he was already lying to Ava about being with Liz. The fact that Rick and Liz are spending so much time together, and that he might be cheating on her with Liz would begin to make sense to Ava. Ava will confront Rick because she will not tolerate that. Naturally, Rick would refute this and explain to Ava that he and Liz are merely close friends. They would keep agreeing as Ava wouldn't believe that. Lucas Jones participates in the storyline. Dr. Lucas Jones would be enlisted by Lucky and Liz to assist them in finding the vehicle that Ava is concealing. Lucas might be able to locate it because he and his Aunt Ava have recently become close. Lucas had been looking for the car, which is evidence that the brakes were cut, but Rick and Ava would be too preoccupied with their arguments to notice. In order to release Alexis from their extortion, Lucas would locate the vehicle and ensure that it was destroyed. The declaration of victory. Lucky and Liz would go see Ava and Rick, who would be having another quarrel, after Lucas wrecks the car. Liz would inform them that the car was destroyed, that it was over, and that they were aware that they were blackmailing Alexis. After that, Alexis would also arrive and inform them that it was ended. Although Ava would like to show that she still has the video of Christina using wire cutters, Alexis tells her that it won't be acceptable in court. Alexis would reply that they are not going to extract another cent out of her now that their blackmail scheme is ended. Liz would convince him that he deserved it for his dishonesty and treachery, but Rick would be furious that she had taken advantage of him in that way. Lucas had been looking for the car, which is evidence that the brakes were cut, but Rick and Ava would be too preoccupied with their arguments to notice. In order to release Alexis from their extortion, Lucas would locate the vehicle and ensure that it was destroyed. The declaration of victory. Lucky and Liz would go see Ava and Rick, who would be having another quarrel, after Lucas wrecks the car. Liz would inform them that the car was destroyed, that it was over, and that they were aware that they were blackmailing Alexis. After that, Alexis would also arrive and inform them that it was ended. Although Ava would like to show that she still has the video of Christina using wire cutters, Alexis tells her that it won't be acceptable in court. According to the General Hospital recap for Tuesday, June 3rd, Professor Henry Hank Dalton became eerie with his poolside staring at Emma Scorpio Drake, and Jason Morgan was barred from the courtroom. This is how the thrilling GH episode from Tuesday unfolded. Kai Taylor and Trina Robinson ran into Emma beside the Metro Court pool, and Emma wasn't pleased when Jocelyn Jacks also appeared. Jocelyn approached Professor Dalton after spotting him, and Emma told Trina and Kai that Joss had stolen her research assistant position. Jocelyn wouldn't have accepted a job that she didn't deserve, Trina contended. Jordan Ashford was brought to Professor Dalton's table nearby by Jen Sidwell, who then highlighted his revolutionary study that will alter the course of history. Professor Dalton welcomed Jocelyn to join them after she showed up with some research-related updates and introduced herself as his new assistant. When Jocelyn sat down with Jordan, Sidwell, and Dalton, they discussed the professor's extensive screening procedure. Having been burnt once before, Professor Dalton needed to know he could trust his employees. Jocelyn moved aside to answer a phone call after Professor Dalton discussed creating a new route to renewable energy. After Sidwell left, Jordan spoke with Professor Dalton alone, but he became sidetracked by Emma's bikini. Dante Falconeri expressed regret for his treatment of Sunny when he first learned that they were father and son at Sunny Corinthos' home. Despite Lois Cerullo's deceit, Sunny still saw her as a friend and focused on Giovanni Gio Palmieri. Gio was not present when Lois, Gloria Cerullo, and Brooklyn Quartermain visited the Quartermain residence. Gio simply wanted to gather his belongings and head off, but Lois spoke up in support of Brooklyn. Brooklyn was disappointed that she didn't want Gio, even though he didn't know he was her son. As a fearful teenager, Brooklyn claimed she couldn't care for Gio, but that wasn't the same thing. Gloria reminded Gio of his love for his adopted mother, Camilla Palmieri, and that he should be thankful that they were able to find him a suitable home. Gio said that he did, but the lie still infuriated him. Brooklyn asked whether Lois and Gloria forced a dying woman to be silent, because Camilla even lied on her deathbed. But Lois and Gloria made it plain that Camilla was the one who made the choice. Brooklyn raged about Gloria and Lois not telling her about Gio after Camilla died, even though she too chose to give up her baby child. When Brooklyn had had enough of Gloria and Lois, she told them to leave. Brooklyn yelled that she would have her possessions sent to Bensonhurst even though Lois had intended to pack them up. After Lois and Gloria left, Gio said that Brooklyn had been duped into liking him. However, because he hadn't been wanted, Gio rejected his family and refused to stay at the Q home. Alexis Davis played down any suspicions of money laundering at the law office, acting as though she was secure in all of her assets, but Marco Rios was available to assist her if she ever needed it. Rick Lansing called Alexis and instructed her to come to the courthouse after noticing that Diane Miller was phoning Christina Corinthos Davis as a witness. By using his power, Rick persuaded Alexis to come get Christina and prevent her from testifying. After following instructions, Alexis finally took Christina back to the legal office, where she met Marco. Since Jason's testimony would harm Michael's case, Diane forbade him from testifying or even from entering the courtroom. Diane didn't want to let Rick concentrate on the incendiary device and all of Sunny's threats. Soon after, Jason and Sunny talked about all the most recent court developments. Later, as Brooklyn was sending her and Gloria back to Bensonhurst, Lois arrived to bid Sunny go. Diane informed Judge Eva Heron in court that Michael was requesting sole custody and making Willow Corinthos an offer of $5 million as a settlement for their divorce. Rick made it plain that Willow couldn't be persuaded to change her mind about wanting children. Carly Spencer testified on the nursery footage and Willow's subsequent attempt to run away with the children. Willow transporting the children over state lines for Drew's inauguration without Michael's consent was a topic of discussion. Harrison Chase also took the stand and was questioned about Willow's past adultery, but Rick quickly pointed out that Willow had cheated on him with Michael. Regarding Dante, Rick forced him to talk about Michael's prior criminal history and injuries from incendiary devices. Diane made every effort to minimize Michael's time in prison because he attempted to save Jocelyn when she was a baby. While on the witness stand, Tracy Quartermain discussed the kidnapping scandal she had been implicated in and made the case that Drew had always desired everything Michael had, including his wife Willow. Drew Kane expressed displeasure with Rick's handling of the case during a break, but Rick countered that Diane was merely restating what they already knew. Rick alluded to having fresh information and judging by Nina Reeves' remorseful expressions about Sasha Corbin, it appeared that she had told Rick that Michael was her baby daddy. Following Jocelyn's testimony, Rick continued to press for a response from her while questioning her about the court order. Carly hoped Joss wouldn't fall for it, but Rick emphasized that Willow was fighting for her kids, just like any other mother would. Stay tuned for more custody turmoil, according to General Hospital spoilers. I'm not sure where else is the place to be at the moment if Port Charles isn't. You're in luck if you missed General Hospital today, Monday, June 2, 2025, as a recap is provided below. After just a few hours back in town, Michael Corinthos is already making significant progress. In order to meet up with her brother, Christina Corinthos dropped by. Michael's custody dispute with Willow Corinthos was the primary subject of conversation. When Christina urges that her brother not be too forgiving to his ex, Michael responds that he doesn't intend to do so. He now realizes that Willow made the decision to ruin their family, and that their children are not emotionally secure in her care. According to Michael, this predicament is the result of both he and Willow keeping their darker parts hidden from one another. After calming Laura, Alexis responds to Marco. Laura Collins brought inquiries concerning Ace's inheritance to Alexis Davis's office. She didn't understand why $10 million would be missing from his account, even though she gets monthly statements. With quick thinking, Alexis informs Laura that she has chosen to transfer funds to a Dolos fund in order to diversify Ace's portfolio. Laura compliments Alexis for her diligence and expresses surprise that she is doing more than just watching over the account. Marco Rios shows in with inquiries regarding the file shortly after Laura departs. Rocco finds out that Gio is his brother. He cautions Alexis that the Dolos fund has only been in existence for a month and appears to be being used for money laundering. Viral footage from the nurse's ball has gone viral online, and Rocco Falconeri is curious about Gio Palmieri's true story. As he enters the room, he asks Lulu Spencer if Dante Falconeri is indeed Joe's father. Telling Rocco that he and Gio are brothers, Dante gives him the information he knows. Lulu acknowledges that Gio overheard her talk with Lois Cerullo and discovered the truth. Rocco seemed to understand the seriousness of that more than she does. Dante acknowledges that he is still figuring things out, and will update him on developments as they become clear. Lucky is at last sincere with Liz. Lucky Spencer eventually made the decision to tell Elizabeth Baldwin the truth after weeks of keeping it a secret. He informs her that Christina cut the brakes, which is what caused the vehicle accident she was in with Rick Lansing. He reveals that when Christina did it, she believed it to be Ava Jerome's automobile, and was appalled to learn that it was actually Rick's. According to Lucky, he thought Christina was truly guilty after seeing her that evening, and that she would never do something similar again. He would now be seen as an accessory if he went to the police because he didn't come forward right away. Liz decides to remain silent as well after considering the ripple effect of all the people that would be impacted if she went to the police. Lucky explains to Liz that he told her this in order to gain her trust. Liz notices a black ring box where Lucky had been seated after he has gone to the kitchen. Gio has inquiries about Sonny. Gio is back in Port Charles, and he is going to Sonny Corinthos first. When he asks him questions, Sonny responds that he will do his best to respond. Sonny informs Gio that he has taken care of him since he is unique, and that he was unaware of their relationship. He reminds Gio that he couldn't have known the secret from the start, because he didn't find out Dante was his son until roughly 10 years ago. Sonny acknowledges that Dante is an excellent father, but he tells Gio that it took him years to become closer to him. Sonny advises Gio to wait as he maintains that Dante doesn't like him at all. Sonny provides Gio a place to stay, and assures him that he will always be there for him. Gio informs him that he must go it alone because he is unsure about his next course. Dante arrives in search of guidance after Gio departs. Lois and Gloria face off against Brooke Lynn. Gloria enters in a rage as Brooke Lynn Quartermain and Lois are in the QS kitchen gossiping about Gio. Before reprimanding Brooke Lynn for upsetting her mother, she rants at her and tells her that Lois deserves respect. BLQ loses it all when the two maintain that hiding Gio in plain sight was the proper thing to do. Gio was just 12 when his adoptive mother passed away, and Brooke Lynn was an adult by then and might have taken over. Rather, everyone remained silent, allowing her to console her kid. BLQ claims that she will never forgive them for the falsehoods, but Gloria feels that she should express gratitude to them for finding Gio a place to live. She claims that although she was aware as a child that she shouldn't be near the Quartermaines, she never anticipated that her own family would turn on her. Gio enters the kitchen as she is saying this because she can't bear to think of him having nowhere to go and no one to trust. Tuesday, June 3rd. General Hospital spoilers and updates hint to impending pressure, awkward charges, and heartfelt apologies. Dante Falconeri issues a heartfelt apology, Alexis Davis sidesteps awkward charges, and Brooke Lynn Quartermaine Chase puts pressure on her mother and grandmother. There is pressure. Alongside her mother, Lois Cerullo, and grandmother, Gloria Cerullo, Brooke Lynn finds herself in the Quartermaine home. Gio Palmieri may still be there as well because he joined in on their contentious conversation. Brooke Lynn asks her grandmother and mother incredulously, would they really pressure a dying woman to keep their secret? She must be referring to Joe's adoptive mother, Camila Palmieri, and the infant boy, now known as Gio, who was placed for adoption after being hidden in plain sight. At least Gio knows that he was needed because it appears that he overheard Brooke Lynn complaining about Lois and Gloria not telling her this. Closing a deal or making a pitch. In another scene, Jordan Ashford and Jen Sidwell appear to be pitching someone on what Jen's business has to offer. Is she congratulating them? Or is Jordan trying to convince the person they are speaking to? It's hard to determine if she's closing a sale or making a pitch. However, GH spoilers suggest that Jordan learns more about Professor Henry Dalton, so it's conceivable they are talking to him. You are on the verge of changing the world, she assures him, and Sidwell seems quite pleased. Discomfortable charges. Alexis is being asked unpleasant questions by Marco Rios, Sidwell's son, regarding the investments that Ace Cassidy's estate is giving her. Laura Collins questioned Alexis about the disappearance of many $million from the estate, but she managed to avoid conflict with her. After receiving the pertinent documents from her assistant, Alexis used the shell firm that Rick Lansing had set up to handle such questions. Marco, who is currently looking into the Domos company, claims that it seems to be a shell corporation set up to hide financial problems. Are you saying that I'm laundering money? Alexis answers, I'm so sorry. He greeted Dante at Sonny Corinthos' house and said he had just missed Gio. Dante began the argument by informing his father that he owed him an apology, to which he replied that he had missed 22 years of Gio. At least he didn't shoot Gio the way Sonny did to Dante, even though Dante had been upset to learn that Sonny was his father. Longtime fans will remember that Olivia Quartermaine exclaimed, Sonny, you just shot your own son, when he shot Dante as she was reportedly pursuing their son. Gio was told the narrative by Sonny, but he left out the part about shooting Dante. Now that he knows he has a secret son, Dante is obviously apologizing for their own dysfunction. Extraordinary actions. Jason Morgan and Carly Spencer are evidently in the courthouse getting ready for Michael Corinthos' child custody hearing to begin. Jason is wearing a suit, maybe for the first time since he and Carly got married for a short time and Sonny entered the room after returning from Nixon Falls. Carly is stating that she would prefer to keep her grandkids, Amelia and Wiley Corinthos, apart from Drew Kane and Willow Corinthos. She assures Jason that she will take all necessary precautions to shield her grandchildren from that setting. Carly takes this seriously and will do whatever it takes, even if it involves disclosing things she is aware of. Someone is called to the courthouse by Rick. Rick is on the phone at the courthouse, perhaps contacting a last-minute special witness for the hearing on Michael and Willow's divorce and child custody. He says to someone in a tone that implies they should drop whatever they are doing, to go to the courthouse right away. He will also put pressure on Alexis, according to other GH spoilers for this episode. Could he possibly save her from having to explain the Domos company to Marco before he outwits her? Or might he be reaching out to someone else, maybe to make some startling disclosures of his own in court?